What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and it's time to preview the Houston Rockets heading into the 2017-18 season, as well as give some predictions. We did the Warriors several days ago. This weekend, we're going to go through and do all the teams in the West. Next weekend, we'll go through and do all the teams in the East. All right, so let's take a look at last season for the Houston Rockets. Their record was 55-27. They had a pretty successful regular season. James Harden was fantastic. If it wasn't for Russell Westbrook, I believe he would have won the MVP. Hands down, he was the number 2 guy in my opinion. So let's just take a look at who led this team statistically last season, and we'll start with points per game. And guess who? James Harden, 29.1 points per game. He was right there, about the same number as the previous year. He, again, was just lights out last year. That move to that point guard position, I think, did a lot for him. But we'll see what happens with Chris Paul coming in. All right, rebounds per game, 8.1 rebounds per game. James Harden, who was playing point guard for the most part, led the team in rebounds at 8.1 rebounds per game. And you can see now why I say if it wasn't for Russell Westbrook, James Harden would have been the MVP. And how about assists? 11.2 assists per game. And that was up from 7.5 the year before. So that move to where he was playing a lot of point guard really helped him as a passer. And again, that makes it very interesting with Chris Paul coming over. He'll probably go back to more of his, his role before he made that move. All right, so the losses for this team, let's take a look. There's 4 of them that we're going to go through. Lou Williams, he was part of that trade to the Clippers. That's instant offense off the bench. That's going to be a tough one to replace. I know they got Chris Paul, but they gave up a lot to get him. So yeah, Lou Williams gone from this team. Let's move on to the next one. Tarik Beverley, another big loss for this team. And I don't think Tarik Beverley's that much, worse than Chris Paul, honestly. The trade is big for him, but we'll see how it plays out. Beverley, that defense, he can shoot the 3. And I think they're going to miss him a lot. Let's go now to Sam Dekker. He didn't do a whole lot last season. We will see, what he does this year. Still a young player, so I don't think the loss of Sam Dekker is going to be too big of a deal for this team. But a big upside. So in the future, that may really come back to hurt them there. All right, so one more big loss. We've got Montrezl Harrell, high energy guy off the bench, good rebounder. Just one of those guys you want coming off the bench. So you're looking at 4 losses here, and these are all big losses. A lot of people are thinking the Rockets are going to be a lot better this year because they bring in Chris Paul, but you got to remember all these players that they gave up. So let's take a look now. We're going to look at 4 additions to the team. Obviously, Chris Paul, number 1. This is, could be a game changer for him. Again, with James Harden playing a lot of point guard last year, we're going to have to see how it works out. I think he'll probably just let Chris Paul handle that. Obviously, one of the best point guards of all time. So you're going to look for, I think James Harden's going to score and score even higher than he did this past season. PJ Tucker, 4th. They brought him in, I think, as a free agent. He could probably help this team out a little bit. I would say he could maybe bring you some of the things that Montrezl Harrell could bring you off the bench. We'll see how it plays out. But definitely, I think a little bit of I'd say it's a pretty even trade. Tarik Black, athletic guy, another guy that can come off the bench, similar role, good rebounder. We'll see, not really a scorer. I think they're really going to miss Lou Williams, coming off the bench to give them that scoring. Eric Gordon's still there, so maybe he can fill that role. And let's see, we got one more guy, and that is Luke Mbamute, bringing in a veteran guy, another guy that can come off the bench. So they got all these forwards coming in. That's kind of interesting. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Besides Chris Paul, I think they definitely went down. They downgraded everybody else a little bit. So let's look at the projected depth chart for this team. We've got Chris Paul and James Harden at the guard positions. Trevor Ariza still there. He's going to be big for him. Good defender. Ryan Anderson at power forward. You can stretch the floor with him. And then Clint Capella. He has really made some strides and is playing pretty good at that center position. So this is a very nice starting lineup. But look at the bench. Not a whole lot there. Nene will be good off the bench. Eric Gordon off the bench. But I don't know. I'm not completely sold on this team. Let's look at the projected wins. The ESPN RPM 55. Vegas has them at 55.5. So you would bet over or under that. So they're pretty much in line with each other. Bleacher Report 62 wins. So they are high on the Houston Rockets. And I think the big thing is going to be Chris Paul and James Harden. How do they work together in the backcourt? You're looking at two, superstar caliber players. I think they're going to really have to carry the load there for this team because they don't have a ton of talent, especially on the bench. Outside of that, so here's my predictions. I've actually got them at 60-22, so I'm higher than the ESPN, RPM, and Vegas. I am a little bit lower than Bleacher Report. That was really the only place I could find predictions for these NBA teams. So my thought process is Chris Paul is going to come in here and he is going to be hungry. He is going to finally, think this is the year. I got to get it done. James Harden is going to play just like he did last year at an elite level. I think Eric Gordon coming off the bench gives them enough scoring, and they've got some good defenders. I think they're going to be much improved defensively this year. I think they're going to be one of the better teams defensively in the NBA. So, yeah, I think they get 60-22. We'll see if that gets them the number 2 seed in the West. As I go through all these teams at the end, we will go through and I'll give you my standings, how it would play out based off of my predictions, and then we'll go through and do playoff predictions. So make sure you stay tuned for all those videos. Again, we're going to continue doing all the teams in the West this weekend, starting today through the weekend, and then the East next week and next weekend, and then we'll do those playoff predictions. So thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports YouTube channel.